The dark secret beneath the Giza pyramid that rewrote human history. What would happen if everything we know about human history were only a tiny fragment of the truth? What if beneath ancient pyramids, inside caves sealed for thousands of years, or deep within deadly deserts, there still existed secrets powerful enough to change the entire story of civilization's origins? Why have ancient human skulls been discovered that do not appear to belong to any known human species? Why were hundreds of mysterious mummies found in a place known as the Ear of Hell? And who built massive structures tens of thousands of years ago using techniques that remain difficult to explain even today? All of these discoveries suggest that humanity's past may be far more complex and mysterious than anything we were taught in history books. Some findings are even challenging historical theories that have stood for centuries. Hello, and welcome back to Ancient History. In today's journey, we will explore some of the strangest and most controversial archaeological discoveries ever found around the world. From gold-laden ships buried beneath the desert sands and ceremonial caves containing hundreds of mysterious Maya artifacts to ancient mummies thousands of years old and enigmatic structures whose true purpose remains a major question mark. Each discovery is a piece of history, but also a mystery that continues to spark intense debate among scientists. And perhaps among the stories we are about to uncover, there will be one discovery powerful enough to make us rethink the entire history of humanity in a completely different way. So, are you ready to explore with me? If so, let's begin right now. Discovery of two unclothed female skeletons in an ancient tomb. Amid the vast and remote grasslands of Inner Mongolia, where modern highways are redrawing the development map of China, a secret buried for thousands of years was unexpectedly brought to light. In 2018, during construction of a road in Baotou City, Inner Mongolia, China, workers stumbled upon a strange underground structure. At first, they thought it was just the remnants of an old foundation, but when ancient bricks began to emerge, they immediately notified the authorities. No one expected it to be a gateway into a world of history, tragedy, power, and centuries-old questions that have never been answered. Archaeologists quickly arrived on site and conducted a meticulous inspection, soon confirming that this was an ancient tomb dating back to the Tang dynasty, an era renowned for its cultural, military, and imperial grandeur in eastern China. The excavation, officially approved, lasted 6 days, and when the final layers of earth were cleared, the archaeologists could hardly believe what they saw. Before them lay a large coffin placed with honor at the center of the tomb, surrounded by 4 human skeletons, all within a remarkably well-preserved, solid tomb structure. Preliminary examinations revealed that the body in the coffin belonged to a man, while the 4 surrounding skeletons were women. What was both strange and controversial was that 2 of the 4 women were buried without any clothing, a completely unusual and seemingly taboo practice that defied the burial customs of that era. Who were they? Why were they treated this way in death? And what really happened over 1,300 years ago? Determined to find answers, experts began analyzing the artifacts, focusing particularly on a stone epitaph found inside the tomb. This was the key that revealed the identity of the man in the coffin, Qin Fen, who once held the title of commander of the northern capital garrison under the reign of Emperor Gaozong of the Tang dynasty. His story gradually came to life. A man born into poverty, the eldest of 6 brothers, who rose through the ranks of the military on sheer determination and strength. From an anonymous foot soldier on the battlefield, Qin Fen achieved numerous victories in brutal combat and eventually rose to the highest military position in the region. He became a symbol of resilience, leadership, and unwavering ambition during a turbulent era. However, what truly sent chills down the spines of later generations wasn't just his life, it was the way he chose to depart it. According to the epitaph, Qin Fen died in the year 698, and before his death, he instructed his son, Qin Huan, to carry out a sacrificial burial, bringing 4 of his concubines with him into the afterlife, along with gold, porcelain, and other precious goods. The patriarchal ideology of a wife follows her husband in death, fused with the solemnity of power, resulted in a brutal ritual that, at the time, was viewed as an honorable act. Yet the epitaph makes no mention of why 2 of the concubines were buried without clothing. This omission has puzzled researchers and fueled countless theories. Were they forced, punished, or was this part of an ancient, forgotten ritual lost to time? Artifacts found around the tomb, From white-glazed ceramics to gemstone necklaces and finely crafted burial goods, point to a life of wealth and nobility. But the absence of clothing on two bodies casts a mysterious shadow over the entire discovery. On one hand, it could be seen as a sign of declining moral standards or the brutality of the feudal system. On the other, it might reflect obscure burial protocols from the Tang era, known only to a few and rarely recorded. Although more than a millennium has passed, the tomb of Qin Fen, a once loyal general and skilled military strategist, has opened a door into a forgotten world, where every bone, every carving, and every buried secret holds the essence of a golden age laced with darkness. Have the spirits within that tomb truly found peace, or do they still have something to say to us? Beneath the cold earth of Bao Tu, the answer may still lie buried, waiting for us to uncover it. A body that didn't decompose for 400 years in Italy. In the quiet, picturesque town of Venzone, located in the province of Udine, Italy, lies a mystery that has puzzled archaeologists and scientists for centuries. The story began with a seemingly random event in 1647, when the body of a man was unearthed from a grave in the courtyard of St. Andrew's Church. What shocked everyone was that, despite being buried for many years, the corpse showed almost no signs of decomposition. No embalming techniques, no preservatives. And yet, the body had retained its shape. The skin had turned a yellowish-brown and dried like leather, while many internal organs remained nearly intact. This discovery quickly captured public attention and launched a centuries-long journey to uncover the truth. But the mystery didn't stop there. Following the first body, a series of other graves were excavated within St. Andrew's Church, and what experts found was even more astonishing. A total of 42 bodies were discovered in a remarkably preserved state, all without the use of any embalming methods. No chemicals, no modern medical intervention, these human remains appeared to have been naturally mummified by the environment itself. Have you ever wondered what might be happening beneath layers of seemingly lifeless earth? In 1976, a powerful earthquake destroyed much of the church's structure, damaging many of the preserved bodies. However, 15 corpses remained intact and are still kept to this day. Strangely, all of these bodies weigh between 22 and 44 pounds, an unusually low weight for adult human remains. And if you're thinking these are just dry skeletons, think again. Scientists found that the skin of these bodies remains tough, elastic, and even retains a leathery color and texture, similar to well-treated hide. This could be one of the rarest known examples of completely natural human preservation, a phenomenon that still defies full scientific explanation. Several theories have been proposed to solve the mystery. Some researchers believe that a rare fungus known as Hypha tombicitia, a type of parasitic mold, may have played a key role in drying the bodies and preventing decomposition. Others suggest that the limestone-rich soil surrounding St. Andrew's Church created a unique microenvironment that inhibited the growth of bacteria and decomposing microorganisms. So, what is the truth? Scientists have conducted microbial tests, analyzed the surrounding soil and geological conditions, yet no definitive answer has been found. Could this be a rare natural occurrence, or the result of a burial technique known to the ancients but lost to time? The question remains open. Looking at these preserved bodies, we don't just see perfectly kept remains from the past. We feel a strange and powerful connection between humanity and Mother Earth, where life, death, and mystery seem to intertwine in a sacred balance. What do you think about this strange phenomenon? Could there be ancient secrets still eluding modern science? And how many more stories lie sleeping beneath the soil of Europe, waiting to be told? Feel free to share your thoughts, because it's the unanswered questions that keep driving us forward in the human quest to uncover the past. The 17 Tiny Mummies on Arthur's Seat Hill. When we think of mummies, our minds usually go straight to sunlit pyramids, the glorious civilization of Egypt, and great pharaohs buried in magnificent tombs. But few know that in a dark, cold land in northern Europe, land steeped in legends of King Arthur and Camelot, there exists one of the most bizarre archaeological mysteries ever discovered. 17 tiny mummies, placed in 17 small wooden coffins, hidden deep within a rocky cave on Arthur's Seat, Edinburgh, Scotland. No one knows where they came from, why they were made, or what happened to half of them. But one thing is certain: they do not belong to any known dynasty or religion in human history. Arthur's Seat, the dormant volcanic hill east of Edinburgh Castle, is rich in myth and legend, once believed to be the site of Camelot in stories about King Arthur. But in 1836, this fairy tale landscape suddenly became the center of archaeological and media attention when 5 boys, out rabbit hunting, stumbled upon a strange crevice in the rock. Inside, there was no treasure and no human skeletons. Instead, they found 17 tiny coffins, each only about 3 to 4 inches long. Each coffin held a wooden figurine, crudely carved but fully dressed, as if they were miniature human replicas. This strange discovery immediately sparked excitement among Victorian scholars and the public. The July 20th, 1836 issue of the London Times described the find in detail, raising many questions. Why exactly 17 mummies? Why arranged in 3 rows, 2 rows of 8 and 1 row of just 1? And most importantly, who made them and for what purpose? Unfortunately, shortly after the discovery, some boys played recklessly and burned several coffins. Luckily, the remaining ones were collected and temporarily preserved by a professor named Ferguson. He was the first to open these tiny coffins and confirmed that inside were wooden figurines dressed in detailed clothing. However, the mummies then fell into obscurity for over half a century. It wasn't until 1901 that 8 of the surviving figurines suddenly resurfaced and were donated to the National Museum of Scotland. This marked the official beginning of the archaeological quest to uncover the mystery of the tiny mummies. Through careful analysis, researchers found the figurines were carved from soft wood using knives, and notably, most were missing 1 arm, likely to make dressing the figures easier. Of the 8 remaining specimens, 3 were more finely crafted with rounded edges, while the other 5 were quite crude, leading to speculation that at least 2 different people created these unusual works. Studies of the clothing also offered clues about the production period. According to experts Simpson and Menifee, the fabric on the figurines only appeared in Scotland after 1812, when cotton began to replace linen. This suggests the figurines could not have been made before then. But the greatest mystery baffling scholars is the true purpose of these tiny mummies. Some locals believe they were dolls used in magic, perhaps amulets or talismans crafted by witches. Others hypothesize they were spiritual symbols carried by Scottish sailors for protection or to honor deceased loved ones at sea. The most controversial and intriguing theory relates to a notorious Scottish crime, the murder spree of William Burke and William Hare. In the 1820s, these 2 men killed 17 victims to sell their bodies to the Edinburgh Medical School for research. The eerie coincidence of 17 victims and 17 figurines led many to believe the tiny mummies were a strange memorial or act of remorse created by a third party connected to the case but never prosecuted. However, this argument faces a key problem. Among Burke and Hare's 17 victims, 12 were women, while most figurines wore men's clothing. Thus, the link remains inconclusive and the mystery endures. To this day, the whereabouts of 9 figurines remain unknown. Lost over time through private collectors' hands, they may still lie hidden in some dusty attic or secret drawer yet to be opened. The story of the 17 tiny mummies on Arthur's Seat therefore continues, not just as a strange anecdote, but as a symbol of mysteries history has yet to reveal, or perhaps does not want to reveal. In archaeology, not all enigmas have answers, and sometimes it is this very uncertainty that keeps us captivated by the fragments of the past. The lost legs of a 3,000-year-old Egyptian queen. In the world of archaeology, where the past is always hidden beneath thick layers of dust and time, sometimes a small bone fragment, a piece of mummy cloth, or an otherwise insignificant object can open up an entire lost chapter of history. And this time, the restored piece is not just a missing part of a body, but the final piece in the story of one of the most legendary women of ancient Egypt, Queen Nefertari. More than a century after her tomb was discovered, scientists have finally confirmed that the mummy legs long suspected and debated over are indeed hers, the symbol of beauty, power, and wisdom of the pharaoh Ramses II's dynasty. The journey to identify these legs began in the Valley of the Queens, the resting place of Egypt's queens and princesses during the New Kingdom period. In 1904, the lavish tomb believed to be Nefertari's was excavated. Its walls were adorned with stunning paintings depicting a noblewoman standing beside the pharaoh in majestic splendor. However, inside the tomb, her body was incomplete. Apart from funerary items and evidence confirming this was the resting place of a royal figure, only a dismembered pair of mummified legs was found. For over 100 years, the question lingered: do these legs really belong to Nefertari? Such doubts were understandable. This land, scattered with hundreds of ancient tombs, had seen many disturbances, including tomb reuse, floods washing away artifacts, and plundering over thousands of years. The Valley of the Kings and the Valley of the Queens are like underground museums, beautiful yet chaotic, grand yet disorderly. In such a context, nothing could be taken for granted. Even artifacts found inside a tomb might not belong to the person portrayed on its walls. To pierce through this historical fog, an international research team led by Dr. Joanne Fletcher from the University of York, UK, conducted the most comprehensive analysis ever performed on a mummy's body part. The disputed legs, currently housed at the Egyptian Museum in Turin, Italy, became the centerpiece of a years-long investigation. The experts used radiocarbon dating to determine the tissue's age. Then X-rays were taken to analyze the bone structure and compare the knees with hundreds of ancient and modern samples. They went further, examining every detail of the mummification technique, from the type of wrapping cloth, the way the legs were bound, to the chemical composition of the embalming materials. The results were astonishing. The legs belonged to a woman between 40 and 50 years old, consistent with the estimated age of Nefertari at her death around 1250 BC. The wrapping cloth and embalming substances revealed an extremely sophisticated technique reserved only for royalty or the highest elite. Chemical analysis of resins and oils in the embalming materials also matched those found in other royal mummies of the same period. There was no longer any doubt. After 3,000 years of wandering, these legs belonged to Queen Nefertari, the woman whom Pharaoh Ramses II loved and honored in countless temples and inscriptions. But the significance of this discovery goes beyond simply naming a lost body part. It is a complete restoration of the image of a historical figure who embodied beauty and power. Nefertari was not only the wife of one of Egypt's greatest pharaohs, but also his partner in many significant political events. In surviving reliefs, she appears as a quintessential symbol of female power in antiquity, not merely standing behind the throne, but a silent force influencing the court. According to Dr. Fletcher, Nefertari was not just the beauty beside Ramses, but the silent strength of an empire. Now that the final piece of her body has returned to its rightful owner, the past once seemingly lost forever has come alive once again. In the quiet halls of a museum in Turin, those legs tell a story of the endurance of memory, a millennia-long journey reconnecting the broken link between humanity and history. And it is a reminder that no matter how deeply buried, historical truth will eventually be found. Thanks to the intelligence, perseverance, and unending passion of those who seek light from beneath the earth.